Kennedy, somebody called me the other day and asked me if we're moving in together because we're engaged now. Exactly. So, what are your thoughts on us moving in together before marriage?
Well, they'll have to stay tuned to find out.
Hey guys, it's Damien.
And I'm Kenady.
And we know why you're here. You want us to tell you that response to that question in the beginning. But before we do, we want to thank everybody for liking, sharing, and subscribing. We give tips and advice for helping you cultivate healthy relationships in all areas of your life.
We are continuing our series on healthy relationships. If you missed our first two, back to school advice, or the one on the character of accountability, we encourage you to go check it out.
Please do.
But today we're continuing and diving deeper on boundaries.
So Kennedy, let's get into it. Do you remember the first time we wrote our boundaries down? Where were we?
We were at Memphis barbecue.
You like to
ribs,
eat.
And you shared your rib. I knew you're the one. He let me take a little piece of his rib.
And I said, look, a rib for my rib. Look, I'm telling you, that was a great point.
He's sharing his food. It's big steps. But yeah, we were at Memphis barbecue, and our accountability actually told us to write down the boundaries. And so we ate good and turned it into a little date.
Do you want to show them our boundaries? Okay, yeah.
Why not?
Get the screen like this is our boundaries. And so on that, you can see that there's absolutely no sex, right?
And why is that? Why do we have that one as number one?
Because we desire purity in our relationship.
Yeah.
And so we see no kissing on there, no sexting on there. What else do you see on there, Kenady?
No talking past 12:30. This one hasn't really been a hard one because I'm usually asleep by like 9:30. So
okay,
this
yeah,
kind of like
that was an easy one.
Easy one to do. No holding hands.
Okay.
And what's that little asterisk in the corner?
Oh, okay. And let's talk to the people about this. Okay.
You gonna call me out?
Yeah, I'm gonna call you out.
Okay.
So Kenady really had a hard time with no holding hands, and I was like, well, I don't think we need to hold hands. And tell the people, like, what were you processing through when you was talking about that?
I was like, in my head, this is real, bruh. It ain't that serious. But when you told me the reason why that was something that you really felt strongly about, because physical touch is your love language. It's mine too, but any holding hand, any kind of touch is kind of like, ooh. And so I had to come to the realization, even though I felt like it was not that big a deal, that was a big deal to you. And because we were both trying to strive to make it to the altar pure, I want him to make it, as well. And so I really had to respect you in that area and put that down. So I wrote it down.
It was hard for her.
It was hard.
Very hard.
But I looking back, I'm glad that we did. And it showed you that I'm willing to sacrifice for you. It's not just about my purity and, me being holy and brought to the altar, unadulterated and spotless and clean, but for you as well. And I think that's so important. We focus on women being pure, keeping your virginity, but that's not really talked about for men too. Y'all are just as valuable as we are, and so your purity matters. And so fellas, I want to tell you, if you haven't heard before too, your purity matters just like for us as well. So there's women out there that care about your purity too, and so it was a way that I could show that I care about you and anything that it takes for us to get it to the altar pure.
And that leads us to the question of the day. On one of our boundaries, we see that we are not entering each other's homes. And so we kept that as a boundary. Now, I am in Kennedy's home now, but we do have chaperone in the other room. And so we have never been in the same house by ourselves without chaperones. And so that is, I'm 35 and she's 29.
And I want to say that's been a huge game changer.
Yeah.
Because I know in the past, we have this boundary of we're not doing this and that, but we would be alone, and then more likely we fell or we almost fell. And so it's really been a game changer, one of the biggest, most important boundaries for us to help us reach that. Number one, no sex, but the ultimate thing of purity. And so not putting us into that temptation.
Yeah. And so that leads us again to the question of the day, which should me and Kenady get together and move in together because we're only, 30 days out. Should we move in together? And so, how do I process this? I think if you're listening to me, we have to learn how to process questions from the outside. And for me, that question was not really difficult to answer because of number one is my vision, and that's going to be our next video. But number one was vision, not just the vision for me and Kennedy, but the vision for my life. You see, when I was younger, I always had a vision to get married as a virgin. So I'm 35 years old and I'm still a virgin today. And that vision has carried me on. If I want to get married as a virgin, should I move in with Kennedy? And if you're 90 days out, 60 days out, and even 30 days out, should I bet on my flesh for 90 days to not try to convince her to be intimate with me? Come on, let's be real. Let's put all that to the side. This is not a right or wrong answer here. This is wisdom. Is that wise for me to put myself in a position like that? And the other thing is boundaries, right? I had boundaries before Kennedy. I had biblical boundaries. The Bible says that in 1 Corinthians 6, 9 and 6:18, and you can read those things to yourself, but God disdained sexual immorality and fornication. And so if that's my biblical boundary, and if I do those things and we have that separation when I enter into fornication, I have a separation with my father, it's not wise for me to move in with Kennedy. And so with you, Kennedy, there's another statement that comes out about convenience. How do you process that when people say, well, it's more convenient for us to stay together?
Yeah, I know when we were first engaged and my lease was ending up, and I was trying to figure out, okay, I don't want to have another lease. I don't want to get my own place and that we would eventually move in together and spend all that money on finances. And so one of the convenient things is, well, if you live together, you're saving on, rent and bills and all of that. You're not married. So even if you're engaged, you're not married. There are people that have gotten engaged and they never got married because they ended up breaking up. And you don't want to put yourself in that financial bound. Say if we both had our name on the lease and mixing our bills together and our finances and we're signing contracts together, and God says, oh, don't get married. We're like, wait, but I already have this lease. We bought this house together. We already did that. I already gave him $3,000. He already gave me, his rights to his, stocks and bonds. And so you really want to make sure you have that boundary of not mixing things together when you are not one yet. And I just want to share a testimony that when I decided, even if it means that I have to spend a little extra money to help make sure that we walk this thing out and finish strong, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And God ended up making this opportunity available for me where I can stay with somebody where I'm learning so much, and I was able to find even cheaper living than what I would anywhere else. And it was really a blessing. And I just want to encourage you, God will do the same for you. If your heart is to honor him and be pure, he is going to make a way. And even if you have to spend extra money, or even if you have to go out your way and driving longer, God is going to honor that. It might not be immediately, but he will honor that. And so it brings great joy that I decided, it doesn't matter what I have to do. I'm not going to compromise our vision, compromise our boundaries for the sake of convenience.
Yeah. And the third one, Kennedy, is the testing, right? A lot of people say we want to just test each other out, see if she's clean or he's dirty or not. And my, rebuttal to that is I don't look at Kennedy as a used car, right? Like we testing out a car, we driving it off the lot. That is, Carfax. We're not, she is more valuable than a car to me, right? So I don't need to test anything out. Now, some of you really don't look at the biblical standard, okay? And I respect that. So let me give you some scientific facts about cohabitation. Now, when you look at some of the numbers, it says that you have a 33% higher chance of divorce if you cohabitate with somebody. Or shacking up, right? 33% higher chance of getting divorced. Now, really think about that. Like, again, put all your pride to the side. Think about that. If you play sports, and I play sports, Kenady plays sports. If you're entering into a field of play or on a court, and you're down 33 already, it's going to be a pretty hard chance of coming back and winning that game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, think about that. So when I thought about it and looked at it at all perspectives, we just feel that it is not a wise choice to cohabitate.
I think that's so good to look at it, not just the Bible, even though God's word is true, but when science lines up with that, it's like, regardless of the way you look at it, it's not in the favor of doing that. And maybe you're engaged and you're currently living with somebody. It's not too late to have those boundaries up. It's not too late to, you know what, I really want to do this the right way. I really want to start this foundation off at the right track. Let's move out and let's get accountability. I still want to marry you, but I want to do this the right way. I care about your purity. I care about your value. I care about God enough. And you can make those sacrifices. It would be so worth it.
So worth it.
So worth it. And I really think that things like, I know we joke about the toilet seat.
Yeah.
But there's things that you can compromise. And I think it's the beauty in growing and making sacrifices and compromising and not letting little things like that make or break your relationship. I think there's so many bigger things that we can focus on and that we can strive to become one in, and not letting, you're a messy person, or you do this, I don't want to be with you anymore. That's kind of shallow. If your foundation is based off of whether you put the toilet seat down, whether I want to marry you or not, you might want to reconsider that. So I think it's beauty in learning each other when you get across from the altar of saying I do, and getting to grow with one another, and getting to look past those annoyances.
Yeah.
And even, who's to know. I know that you've already worked on trying to put the toilet seat down.
I have.
Because it's like, but even if you didn't, I'd still say I do to you, and I still want to be with you.
She is so cute.
Gotta pump your man up sometimes, But yeah, and so just really, reconsidering it, and I think it's a beauty in starting fresh after becoming one.
That's so good. So again, we thank you for joining us today. I know that was a long kind of explanation, but our verdict is not wise. Not wise at all. And so thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Again, comment below on what you feel about this video. Again, we want to continue to bring this type of real content, not just to you, but to the world. And check out our next video on vision. It's going to be good. So again, my name is Damien Nash.
And I'm Kenady Pitts, soon to be Mrs. Nash.
Yes.
I don't even know how I'm going to stop counting.
Yeah,
it's tomorrow.
We got a lot to do. But we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.